Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hey, can everybody hear me? Hello? All right. So today I've got a little project here that I've been working on, trying to develop links. All right. So the first thing we're going to do here, just kind of launch from this. Let me get this sound off of here. There we go. Sorry about that. The first time doing a webinar here. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to start from scratch with some links that I've done recently and show you guys the kind of like the operation that I do. So for the first part of it, I usually turn on all of my planes, and this way I can think in 3D. I know we just looked over a lot of cool tricks and things that David and Maxim, everybody's got going on with V10. But a lot of things that we do when we first get into 3 design, any kind of program like this, you really just want to start building things. And so this I thought was a really easy and fun way to get ideas on the screen and start playing with them using the parametric tree so that you get the ability to, you have the flexibility to kind of go through the piece and see how things translate. So for starters, here we go. We're going to look at this piece from the side here, basically through a finger hole or whatever. But since we're creating a link, it's going to be kind of a little bit different. What I do is I come in and I use these different symmetrical builders because I find that I can always take them back to whatever I want them to be individually, but I find that this is the best route to go just to get started. And I don't know if everybody knows this already, but it's always a good idea to put a few extra points in place, usually generally 3 to get started there. So you can have, again, it's all about retaining your original lines and sections so that when you go back, it's easier to make adjustments. So for starters, all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this one shape. And this shape is going to give me the profile of my entire piece. So I'm just going to extrude it. Now I'm going to extrude it. Oops, it's not selected. There we go. So I'm just going to extrude it like, let's say, I don't know, it needs to be kind of long because we're going to take a lot away from it. We're going to use 2 simple operations here. So 10 millimeters, let's go both ways and start there. For the next thing, since we're thinking in 3D, now we can see this in 3D, we're going to actually just work in one 2D section at a time. So for that, let's see, we go back into my sketch, I can just double click it. And so for my sketch here, I like the way that my shapes look, so I'm playing off of these lines. This can be any shape, whatever you're in the mood for. I'm just going to do something that's going to be a little bit more square and edgy. So I want to leave this sketch, and I want to go into the next angle of this piece, which is going to be this sketch. Open my sketch tool here, and just go back in and draw another silhouette in the shape that I want it to be. This time, even though I'm using a symmetrical tool, this one gives me less of the symmetry on all 4 angles. And so I can kind of create like whatever. I like to leave a lot of points along there just so I have other areas to manipulate once again, because all this is going to make sense once we get to this next point here. The other factor is that we need another line on the outside of this because of what we're ballooning. So all I have to do is I just have to make this one bigger. And it just has to exceed the perimeter of the piece there. All right, we're going to keep the original, select it, go back into the tools, get back out of sketch there, and use my first extrusion here. So let's see, we'll go, I think I'm using like 5 or so, maybe a little bit more. Let's always go beyond the actual piece there, both sides, boom, and there we go. So now if we subtract this, a new shape for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of repeat this process. We're going to do this from another angle now. We're going to do this from the top of the link. So from the top of the link, let's get a nice square view. I selected my plane, going in to do another sketch. And from this plane, I kind of want to give it a little bit more shape of what I'm looking for, which is going to be, I think I want to get it a little bit narrower on this end. All right, and again, I'm just grabbing this, and I'm making it bigger. It can be any size. We can make it as big as we want. It's all relative. So we've got our original selected, validate, back into the extrusion again. Oops. Double click so I can re-edit this. I think 6 was our number. On both sides, we can get a preview, making sure that it's all encompassed in there. And again, we select this first. We select this first and then subtract this from it. And we've got this now. So you can see where this is going. Well, you're probably wondering how you're going to connect them. Well, so in these sketches, we click back into the areas. Now we're visualizing how we want it to look, right? So in one sense, we want to be able to connect it here and maybe connect it there. So I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to create an opening here for us. I also don't like these negative areas there, but that's determined because look what's happening here. This is where we want to make this adjustment. If we pull that back out there, it should give us in the tree the space that we were looking for. So we can do this on both sides. We can get it filled out. And like I said, we're going to mess with it. We're going to make it do whatever we want. We can probably create several links from this. All right. So it's a little tricky here. But back in this sketch again. So we're just going to use, again, the symmetry. Just kind of build ourselves an entry point for the other link. Okay. While we have that selected. And again, this is a great opportunity to start using some of these new tools that are in V10 because look at the redundancy of the operations that we do. Making sure we're getting all the way through the other side. Let's use that 5 again. Boom. And we can subtract that. Okay. Now we just want one for this side. So we go back to our sketch here. Double click that line. Coming back into here. Okay. Doesn't matter if I have that selected or not, but I can see through my pieces. And then we have this one. Not sure if anyone's ever seen something done quite like this, but I mean, I was thinking of simple ways that we can kind of showcase the concept of getting something out of your head and onto the screen very quickly and easily. Using simple extrusion and Boolean tactics, look what we've got. You know, we've got a link here, but this isn't really a functional link yet. We need to make it work. So now we have all this built in, so we can just move our lines accordingly. Let's get squared up here. Let's first adjust this. It's going to be something like that. We want to leave a nice amount of distance in between here because the jeweler has to cut it and be able to actually solder it together and then clean it up. So you don't want to leave this thing like this, you know? This looks okay in the screen, but we got to actually be able to make this. So if it's okay to run a file by it once or twice, that's not a problem either. But I want to give this some new shape here. Maybe something like this, okay? And maybe we don't have too hard of an edge so that it wears really well and feels loose on the neck or wrist, okay? So we're only about 1 millimeter or so there, but we don't want to make it too heavy. We want to make it comfortable. So there we go with our first one, and for our second one here, we're going to have to come in with a little bit different shape on this one as well. Double click my line. And just get everything adjusted. This again. We're going to be able to work with that space that we have there from the other angle. And let's make this do something similar. See why it helps to have more points? All right, so we learned something there. All right, so there you go. I can line this right up with that, and we'll eliminate the issues that we're having with this overlap. Oops. There we go. And you don't want to just move it like that, you know, because now see what happened? The whole entire plane came with it. We want to just move this right on over like this. Whoops. If we can, we just want to slide it over. Okay. All right, this is looking pretty weird. Let's get this dialed in here real quick so we can move on. I got one other thing I wanted to do, but go figure that you get caught doing something too long. I wanted to take this all the way to the finished product. So here we go. Let's just let's put like a slight chamfer on this edge, maybe that edge too. Drop this down ever so slightly just to give it a little softness. Okay, and then this isn't ideally what I had in mind, so I may want to tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, the idea is to be able to just work in these realms where we can create and subtract. Now I want to just make sure that it works, right? So this is the part where it gets interesting. Is we have the ability here, whereas in by hand we would have made this thing and we would have said, all right, well, we got to go back to the drawing board because look, it doesn't work, well, in this we just clone it. Then we're going to clone one to the other side and figure out where our issues are here. Okay. So first and foremost, it looks like we got a lot thicker than it needed to be, right? And depending on the shape that we're looking for, we can either mess with this, or we can just mess with what we had going on here, which is what we were kind of doing. And we can go back to this masterpiece here. We don't need that line, so we can just get it out of here so it's not distracting. And we can kind of just slim this out because that's what it needs. Okay, now we can start to see. All right. And then for the other one, I know that there's somebody in there. Where is he at? There it is. And we can kind of see, oh, well, it was probably a little too early for me to do the chamfer operation, but it still likes it. Okay, so we know that this needs to be larger, just enough because we don't want to take away too much of the design. There we go. Okay, this one again, same type of thing. Let's see, we can't see the line, but we know it's there. Okay. And look at that, we've got basically what looks to be like a nice, comfortable looking chain link that, it works. But I'm going to take it one step further just because we can, and we're going to prepare this for casting. Um, whoops. So for that, I'll basically just eliminate both of these because they were only there so that I knew what was going on. And I really don't need much else from the sketch so we don't accidentally click anything. But what we do need is we need to create this sprue that'll hold these links in place. So depending on your understanding of casting, you can actually just come in and we can build our sprue directly out of this area here. A simple way to do that would just be to take this cylinder, create one cylinder, pay attention to your widths, and make it a nice length and connect it there. Whoops, where'd it go? Oh, just center it back up. Okay, so here we have that. So this allows for the gate where the casting will be, but we can go one step further than that as well. And we can back up from this scenario. I have my entire perimeter set here to like 50 millimeters. I can actually just go, give me both of these guys here. Let's start with this. Let's go back into our move tool. Again, simple tools, Here it is. Let's get a little rotation going on there. Boom. Give me that rotation. This is how we're going to put it onto the actual rod that's going to hold these puppies. So we go up to here. Let's say we know we have a casting flask of say 3.5 inches. So all I really need to do is let's get rid of that for 1 second. Let's make our sprue. That's going to be maybe, let's call that a 7 millimeter sprue base, something like that maybe. Let's extend that out. Okay, so that'll be the top. Drop this down to the bottom. I'm only going to make it, let's say, 2.5 inches tall because we said that was 50 millimeters, so it doesn't have to be too crazy. But a nice big heavy gate like that will ensure that it doesn't break. Let's see here, just enough. And then for this, I like to use this tool. It doesn't have to be used, but it does work. It does do the trick. Whoops. As long as it's going in the right direction. The easy way to do it, by the way, I'm trying to keep things simple. The easy way to do it is just to take this and duplicate it like we did before. And then take these two and duplicate it like we did before. Take one more. Okay. Maybe that's too many. You don't want to have them too close because in the casting process, you have to still consider removing them from this base, etc., etc. But for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to go like that, and then I'm just going to move this down because I want to have I don't want to have as much at the top, but I do at the bottom there, so it leaves me a little room to attach it. Okay, and then very simply, we just select these, and we can use the rotation tool. Let's see if we can squeeze 4 of them on there. Nope. 3 works for me. They're pretty close, but it'll work. The only way that we can get them a little bit further apart is to modify the first one. So, whoops. So we go back in, know where it's at on the tree by highlighting it there. Go back to our first move and rotate, and just pull him out a little bit. It looks like he's not going to be touching there, so what's the other secondary part of it? It was that base that we created. So we can go back down and find our base. Boom. And we can just extend it a little bit. Okay. And now let's move him back in so we can see. Boom. All right. So now you can hand this straight off to a casting house or in your own shop, and they can go ahead and produce your links for you pretty quickly and easily. You can even give them the actual weight of the piece, you know. This is really handy to have because, you know, as you're going through and trying to, where is my, I think, did we move it over to the other side, guys? Lost my weight tool. With all the new icons in V10, I get lost. Here it is. Okay. Oops. Okay, if you get this result here, undo it, take the whole thing, boolean it together. There we go. Boolean it all as one, and we get the actual weight. Boom. So there you have it. Quick little easy way to make some links. I don't want to go there. Let's go new. Okay, and then so the other thing I was going to show you was, let's see, what do I got? I don't know if I have enough time to do one of these, man, but I will try. So I really like these new designs that I've been doing. They are a little bit more intricate and offer, well, they offer a lot of work, but um, I showed my clients these pieces because this is the kind of work that you're able to create in 3Design pretty efficiently and pretty effectively, and then modify it live with a client. So I can kind of show you how I created this. It's a little complicated when it comes to the actual pave layout, so I'll try and skip over some of those points. But as far as like these designs that I put on the inside, the way that the somewhat fishtail setting looks on the sides, and the multi-halo with the baguette or with the diamond under gallery is all pretty much done with sweeps. There's nothing too complicated about this piece. So let's go ahead and start one real quick. If we don't get it done, you kind of got an idea of what it was to begin with there. So first thing I always start with is their finger size. Okay, and the second thing I always go to is going to be our stone. So for this, let's just use some point of reference here. Maybe let's do emerald. I haven't done, I was thinking about doing a pear, but I haven't done a pear yet. A pear would be nice. Oops. Staying centered there. Let's go for a nice 10 by 8, let's call it. Whoops, not a 108. 10 by 8 or 8 by 10 maybe. I use tab to slide through my menus pretty quickly. And we'll need to bring this up to surface here of where I want to place that. Now that's a big stone, so you know I kind of want to give it some distance away from the finger and also allow for a lot of that, you know, kind of got a triple halo gallery going on, so there's quite a bit happening. So I want to leave some space for all that so that I don't go in, start building, and run out of room. This always gets frozen, in my opinion. I don't really need it. I just need it as a reference. And we're going to enter into sketch from this plane now. I've highlighted my plane. And again, it's all these symmetric builders. Actually, I don't need that point. I like to just start out here. 3 of those, and 3 of those. This guy is going to be a little bit tighter underneath there. We're just going to take that. Doesn't have to be perfect. You know, like I said, from the, we can freeze this. From the point of the setter or from the jeweler's standpoint, you know, once you do this, you're going to be, you know, you're going to be splitting hairs over here. And by the time you get it to the bench, as most of us know, it's infinitesimal. What really matters is, you know, these proportions here and the distances that we leave for our heads, for our spacing of prongs, etc. So I'm just going to pull that out right there. It actually needs to be, this is a tricky one because When you stretch this, because it's elongated, you don't get the same distance on either side. You can see that it's like 1/4 of a millimeter more there. You have to identify that on the sides as well. And let's go ahead and validate that. I'm sure this is nothing new to anyone, but I'm going to go through and show these proportions real quick. So there's our first one. I generally just take that and shrink it and keep the original. I use these simple methods all the time, and it gets me through a lot. So just looking at where I'm locating it, it looks pretty good. Hope I'm not making anybody too dizzy zooming in and out. I do want to extend that up a little bit. When I get into positions like this, I don't just move by freehand. I notice that I do a lot free-handed. I don't really rely on too many reference points. I do a lot by eye, especially when I'm doing stone layouts and stuff. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I'm going to come in now and I'm going to make a section to sweep this with. No matter how many times I've done this, I always forget which way it's going to actually happen when I want to get it to lay on there. We'll do 3 curves there. Boom. Whoops. Once again, new icons are tripping me up no matter what. All right. So let's see if I got it right. Well, kind of got it right. Looks close. So here we have that, but I mean, looks okay. I prefer to have more angle underneath as well. That feels a little better. I don't like anything just too flat. So for that, it's pretty straightforward. For this, now we're in the next plane again. I can go back into that original sketch where I had the ring, just so I don't have too many sketches running around in here. I can create my prongs. When I create my prongs, I do them in a fashion just like this, where I can always come back and I can open this prong up, okay? So it's cool like this for the design to show, the client. But when we go in and we're gonna have to make this piece, we're gonna have to take this piece like this, we're gonna have to open these up. So I like to use this rotation function and just pull these back, and then kind of like, sometimes I'll even just grab all of them and just give me something like that, especially if I know I have like a heavy girdle, or like in this case it has a nice tall crown. All right, so but try and make it look as realistic as possible here. You know, get that touching. And then so for these little claws, pretty simple. Do like a little point, tiniest point I can get. And then this one. So select my 2 lines. Come back into my sweep. Oh, got my ring in there. Always make sure you just have those 2. And let's see where in reference that is, making sure that, see, it's not at the end. We want that at the tip. And we want this not too far behind it, but kind of look at it and you can tell where you want it to start opening up. Right about there, looks good. And gives you a nice, pretty claw. And these claws are easy to set too. Once you get good at making the claw, then you can kind of just put it where you need it. Let's put this one here for starters. I do love this new move function. Works pretty good. And looking at it directly from the top again, I like to use the move function again, not the duplicate tool, because I do need to rotate it, and it's just another step when I don't do that. But I do have to remember to keep the original. All right, let's go ahead and get these guys around the piece. We're not going to rotate around because that would only give us you know, these kind of things, we need to go ahead and mirror it. Okay, so we've got some claws, we've got our stone. Let's just see how it's looking. You know, not too bad. For the next one, so I kind of want to put a different setting style on the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and highlight all of this, put it all together as one. It doesn't have to be, but I'm going to do it anyway, just so that I can reference it. Say, for instance, if I wanted to change it to another material, you know. It won't let me do that, actually. We have to undo that, and let's make it like, boom, much better. So now, freeze that and start my next one. Going into my next one. You know what? This, I forgot to get rid of this. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to use this same line right here, okay? But I'm just going to drop it down. Oh, I started it with it right there? Did I? No, I didn't. I was about to say. I usually draw around my stone. And it's okay to draw on the central plane and then pull it up, but when you get into more complex geometries, it makes it so much easier to have your line right there live where you're trying to work, than rather than be, you know, messing with it down there and trying to figure it out. But anyway, so getting a reference point here, you know, you see how I put that angle there? Well, I want to make my next halo, so I want to use that and just keep this one live. Now these are not going to have a memory to one another, so if I modify that, it's not going to change this, which is cool. If I wanted to do that, then we can go into the move tool, but that's different. You know, that would be back in the jeweler's bench. But for this, we're going to make another little deal here. Again, keeping in mind that, you know, we're going to make this one a little bit thinner, but we also have to reference our distances. Eyeball in it, man. You got to have a good eye if you're going to be doing this. All right, so there we go. And see, now I pulled that line, hopefully, off of this one. Let me zoom in here so we can see. So I pulled that line off of this line. So it's not going to be at the same height as this one. Okay? But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to try and do another style of, let me just double click, go back in here, do another style of pave, which we haven't done any of yet, but you're going to see. So here we go. For this one, I kind of want to give myself that angle on the back side that's going to hopefully match up so I can rest that other bezel in there should it be another material, right? I'm just kind of creating something weird there, but I think it should work. You can always go back and change it. Boom. Let's see what we got. It's definitely a weird one, but maybe it's workable. Nope. Nope. Close, but no cigar. How about down here? Nothing. Okay, so how about we just go back here? Let's actually make it look the way it's supposed to look, because I can't tell what's the top or the bottom, you know? So rather than get too crazy with this one, let's just delete this guy. And let's just draw another one better. We're going to do the fishtail style, so I want to create this recess. Otherwise, I'm going to have to create it later on anyways. And then for this part, well, they can come up like that. We're going to be resting on the other portion and something to this effect. All right. The difference here is that this is too wide for that piece. We're going to be using small stones here, so let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's not leave so much metal showing, because you know the client's going to say, oh, I don't know if it's gonna look pretty heavy. So we'll just slim that up. This is like what? Not even a half a millimeter, a little bit like a quarter of a millimeter there. Now we can get a better idea of which way this thing is facing. Simple sweeps. All right, there we go. Now we're talking. So what are we doing here? What's the top and what's the bottom? I'm gonna go for a, whoops. Nope. I think I had it right to begin with. Nope, that's better. Okay. Okay, now this is a point in which we can either grab our lines and pull them down to where we want them. Let's grab that one underneath there. We can drop this down. Drop it down, drop it down. Oh Lord, we forgot the other line. Just undo. Bail. Come back. There we go. What is happening? What did I do? I probably made this with the other line. That's why you kind of want to hide your sketches. Pro tip. Hide your sketches when you're done working with them until you need them again. What did we say it was? 90? Nope. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, now we can kind of tweak this. We can hide this sketch. That one. I'm just looking at the distance here, and I'm looking at the distance there. I'm saying, what are we going to do here? Right. Now, for instance, I mean, I don't really like the way that looks yet, but if we can just bring this back, we can start to get an idea of what's happening. And then we can tweak it using this internal line right here that we had. Okay, so, oh my God. There we go, a little bit like that. You know? So we're starting to get this double halo look. Okay, so this is the cool part, is that when I'm creating stuff like this, and I don't know how much time I have left, probably not enough to obviously finish the ring. I really want to show you the whole outer layout because that's kind of a cool aspect of it. Everybody's kind of seen enough pave, I guess, right? But when I create these shapes right here, I can do this in 5 minutes. So when I create these shapes right here, I go back into this aspect of the sketch and I create these lines that give that real nice, you know, ongulate graver look, like very nice hand done, you know, the way it's going to actually look. Okay, so that'll be one of my cutters. And then for my other cutter, it's going to be my round cutter. So my round cutter is going to look just round. You know, it doesn't have to be crazy. We're really just focusing on this portion of it. And we can always come back and say, you know, we want a tapered cutter, or you want just a nice cutter like that. And then what else? Sometimes I create this cutter, whoops. And again, you notice I use all symmetrical tools, but I create one like this sometimes too, because that's my little secret cutter. All right. Doesn't have to be perfect, but okay. So, not to bore anybody with some pave, it's only my favorite thing. We come in here like this. We go straight for the planes. We go straight for the planes. Give me my axis. Really? Oh, okay. Tricky. Okay, so now we can see everything. Back to my properties. I've got my plane selected. Adding a plane. There we go. You can see it shows up there. We're going to add another one here and just get to work. I don't know what this is. What are they, like 1.5s? Can't be, right? Maybe. Got my little plus sign. And we've got our symmetry locked in. Always when doing pave, you want to look at things square. So dial it in. Look at it as straight down as possible. Leave yourself about point. They say to leave enough for like a business card, but everybody's got different business cards. So just leave like, you don't want them like this, because chances are whoever your stone dealer is going to give you some stones that aren't going to fit right there. This is okay to bump up a notch. Not too much, but let's see. That's good enough. And we just continue around the side. All right, boom. I like to just get an initial layout so I can see where I can tighten up the gaps. I love all the builders, I love all the other things, but there's just something about doing it by hand. Yeah, it takes a little longer. And yeah, I wish there was a way that you could get it to do it where it looked like you did it by hand, but you didn't. All right, it's getting a little wonky there on that side because of the way I was looking at it. But I know what to do. I can look at this inner edge there that I created, using that as a guideline, and I can just pull everything down to that line, and hopefully I have a nice square edge. Okay, and these guys look good enough for government work. Boom. Let's get some stones going around here. Doesn't matter what stone size is right now. I gotta speed up. Give me my stones. Okay. Now I can select my stones and select. Well, here we go again with trying to pick out the icon. This guy? Yep. So this is the part where I created my cutters, and I want to look and see, where they're going to land between the stones. That's these guys. Okay. We want to make sure they look good, so we're going to go ahead here. I like to use this if I can. Put me at least at a good reference point there. There we go. Lift that up. Maybe extend it. There we go. Looking kind of decent. I like to come in and reselect that. Reselect my cutter. Put them on the stones. There's my guy right there. Come on. Let's get a little preview there. Okay. And we gotta make some changes. Let me just pull this out a little bit. How much? Preview that. Can do a couple different things here, but what I did was I made that a little bit deeper than I should have. But it saves me a step anyway, so why not? Okay. Notice I haven't saved it yet. Well, we're not going to really use it. But if it was to fail right now, then we would know. I'm running out of time, guys. I don't know whether just to bail. But you see what the design ends up looking like, and that's what's important. I wanted you to get a chance to, see the potential of where I go with this stuff. And see what all the possibilities are, from simple little extrusions to Boolean operations that create everything that's looks, sometimes it looks more complicated than it really is, and then you get a really nice result. Hey, all right, enough is enough. So anyway, we're not going to mess around with too much more pave, but let's just do this last little piece here and see if we can. Okay, so we've got these top-down shots. I'm going to go ahead and quickly just hide all that. And so what I've been doing is I've just been coming in from the top here, and you learned earlier about how like we work from different angles, different surface, different planes to create the 3D object. So in this case, we're actually coming in a little bit outside of the piece, but first we have to create the inner perimeter. And I just draw it from this angle, right? Let's say it's a split shank. So I'm kind of visualizing how I'm going to make that split shank look. At that point, then I just kind of hit tab and it gives me my same sketch, which is right here, in a different viewpoint, in which I can just kind of pull up into this piece and validate. Now I can actually bring back my, here he is, bring back my sketch there, and then I can just draw these down so that very, very quickly and simply, I know without me trying to say everything I'm doing, you just get a nice, pretty layout, right? That's our silhouette. But that's not enough. We have to actually give it more control. Because if I was to just use, let's say for instance, remember, we're actually having to use this top sketch real quick, okay? So forget this, it's this sketch. Wait, I don't even want to select it. I just want to show it. We're using these kind of things. So all you really need is something simple, like say a circle. And you get that sweep going again. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate it with just one, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like with two, and then I got to go. So here we go. This isn't how I did the one that you saw, but this is a quick way to, this is like a quick way to get the idea going for you. I just wanted to freeze that, not actually hide it. There we go. There we go. So now we can modify this just like we did everything else all along, everything we've been doing. We've got this freedom and flexibility to say we want it to go like this. Whatever we want it to do, we can get creative and it's going to follow our lead, and we've got a really simple, fast way to do that. The shank is the same thing as like I did around the head. I basically just made two sweeps. I followed them through, and then for the under gallery, I kind of eliminate everything, and I draw those sweeps and make it all look good. I mean, it's just about looking at it with your eyes, man, and trying to stay focused on the outcome you're looking for. It'll happen. All right, I guess I'm gonna sign off here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. If not, keep practicing, and hopefully I'll be back. Thank you.